Now, we done had some great days, some lovely days, some bad days, some horrible days. But when I give y'all this conclusion as to why I'm saying this,
Best day ever.
All right, we have a lot of issues to get through on our non-jury days for the next few days. Take the easy ones first. The state's motion in limine about overruling whatever objection the defense might ever offer to evidence on the basis of 403 waste of time and the defense response in opposition thereto. I am ruling for the defense on that one for all of the reasons stated in Mr. Weinstein's response in opposition. Takes care of that one. The motion in limine by the state to revisit the court's ruling excluding State's Exhibit 52AY. I have considered that, and I will not be changing my ruling on that. Okay, so the court has determined that neither the Ryan situation nor the alleged passing of Percocet to Defendant Williams in court meet the requirements to be an intrinsic act, and so I am not going to admit either of those. And I've also reconsidered, thought again about my ruling out the Stillwell situation of some contraband being in his cell, and I'm going to stand on my ruling with regard to that as well.
Oh yeah, Paige was pissed. She came in, she wasn't holding none of that shit. None of it. She was just basically like, we just gonna go off of what Weinstein said. Shut that shit down. We gonna shut that shit down. Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. This is so petty and so funny that I'm pretty sure when Whitaker read this, she probably was like, yeah, hell nah. F you, Miss Love. It says, opposition to state's motion in limine to allow the state to present all relevant evidence to the jury and to deny defendant objections to the presentation of relevant evidence on the basis that said evidence is a waste of time. The defendant, Diamante Kendrick, by and through his undersigned counsel, without waiving any other rights to which he is entitled, files this opposition to state's motion in limine to allow the state to present all relevant evidence to the jury and to deny defendant objections to the presentation of relevant evidence on the basis that said evidence is a waste of time, stating the following. And a surprisingly succinct and efficient bit of lawyering from the state. That right there is hilarious. So basically, in less words, and she did really well, which I'm pretty sure is tongue-in-cheek as hell, bit of lawyering is insane to say anyways, from the state requests that this honorable court deny all future defense 403 objections regarding the state presenting relevant evidence that is a waste of time. The state cites neither statute, case law, nor the highest law of the land according to the state, crossing on evidence to support its position that the court take up the challenge of overriding the edicts of the Georgia legislature, along with virtually every other legislative and judicial body in our nation, ignoring OCGA 24-4-403. Meaning, you ain't even do your homework. You ain't got no opposition, and you didn't even look at the law. And then right here, wow, that is really a mouthful. That's in the notes, bruh. Now check it out. While the state's motion genuinely merits no response, the filing of its frivolous motion may indicate that the state plans some form of carpet bombing of additional pointless cumulative evidence clearly excludable under Rule 403 and is laying down some type of suppression fire through this motion. Therefore, undersigned counsel feels compelled to object. Ironically, the state's motion is a perfect example of the need for this honorable court to weigh in on the state's wasting the time of all involved in the present case by barring otherwise relevant evidence that is a waste of time under Rule 403. In a sense, the motion needs no opposition, as the motion itself serves as its own evident opposition. Bruh, he is saying, you are proving my point with what you're doing. Hey, I told y'all. I told y'all Weinstein was a favorite, right? Him and Keith Adams, they competing for number, 1 and 1A right now. Wherefore, Mr. Kendrick respectfully requests that this honorable court deny the state's motion to bar ever ruling for the defense and future Rule 403 objections this 8th day of October 2024. Ms. Love filed her motion the same day. He clapped back in the same day. And I think he said, today I got time, cuz. And there's so much stuff happened today that it was like, if you missed it, you're going to be glad to be a member here because, bruh, let's just get into it.
Guns in the attic.
Yeah.
When they're all hiding and they're running outside and we played that is Waters Road. So there's a number of shootings that we believe was from YFN at YSL. And so this 911 call is a innocent victim of that in terms of not the intended target whose window is shot out and calls police. And her, I believe, either boyfriend or husband, Mr. Whetstone, is going to be a witness we will be calling. So the state wanted to, this chronological or timeline is important. It's a brief 911 call, and there's obviously an accompanying CAD report. So the state feels that it's relevant for the jury because they need to understand the sequence of events in terms of the back and forth shooting and what transpires.
Okay, but do they need to know that somebody who had their car parked on the street or wherever it was parked, a stray bullet hit them?
It's right.
It hit their car, not them, their car.
So, Your Honor, in terms of the relevancy and the low legal standard of it,
I'm not saying it's not relevant. Do you need it?
The state believes we do, and it's...
Okay, y'all are going to have to start picking some stuff that you just, I mean, this case can't go on forever. It feels like it's going on forever, but there's got to be something that y'all can say, you know what, I think we ought to be able to prove our case without that. And this kind of seems like one of those things. And I know that there's not, there may or may not, well, I think there's just kind of a standing cumulative waste of time objection by the defense. But I as the court, trying to the extent possible, manage this litigation and raising that sua sponte to the extent that there's not a defense objection. Is this something that, I mean, even whomever, the boyfriend or the husband coming in to testify to it, I mean, if you are establishing the Waters Road shooting anyway, which you are,
Yes, Your Honor.
it just doesn't seem like this is really necessary.
Your Honor, I understand I'm struggling for a response because in terms of it's difficult for me to say what is necessary versus, what is relevant and admissible in terms of, and useful for the jury in making their decision. What is necessary in a case is a hard question to answer.
I know.
And so the state Ms. Latner's is testifying when this comes up. Ms. Latner's will be addressing a number of 911 calls and CAD reports that all tether and are connected with this timeline of events. And so the state felt that in terms of brevity or this short 911 call and CAD report anchors the timeline for the jury and is helpful. The state's not intending on calling the officer who responded to check her window.
Good. Okay.
And so the state felt that this was I believe Ms. Latner's could testify about these two items in probably under 5 minutes.
She probably can, but 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there and 10 minutes the other place. If she's already going to be testifying to 911 calls that came in closer to time, is she going to be doing that?
She's going to be handling a number of 911 calls and CADs, Your Honor, that tether both the Shamel Drinks murder, the murder of Mr. Ford and Mr. McMiller, and the multiple shootings at Waters Road, one of which this is a 911 call in response to.
So is there going to be other evidence that either has come in or will come in that this shooting at Waters Road occurred on March 12th of 2022?
Your Honor, currently, because the state intended to play this CAD and 911 call, we are not calling other witnesses to discuss this specific day.
Which is the day after?
March 12th, correct, Your Honor. So currently, in terms of the state's witness list and what the state intended to introduce, this 911 and CAD.
This is the way y'all are introducing that the shooting occurred at Waters Road on March 12th?
There's two different shootings. And there's two different shootings, Your Honor, but in terms of her,
when's the other shooting?
Shot out March 16th.
Okay, so let's not worry about that one. March 12th. This is the only way that y'all are establishing a shooting at Waters Road on March 12th? Yes or no?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, the state can call other witnesses or evidence about that shooting, but we intended to call and introduce this cabin boy 911 currently.
I understand that y'all want to. Was that the only evidence that y'all were going to put up that this occurred on March 12th? Was this 911 call and boyfriend or husband and the discovery that on March 13th, this window was shot out? That's how y'all are going to establish a shooting on March 12th?
In order to cut down witnesses, Your Honor, I mean, we have other witnesses. I mean, we could call Ms. Zachary, we could call the responding officer, but in order to shorten, we get the complaint that we need to shorten the case. And so what we're trying to do is there's a 911 call. There's two 911 calls. There's a 911 call from March 12th.
Okay. Are you planning to introduce that?
Yes, that's the day before.
Okay.
Then,
But after the shooting occurs, correct?
the 911 calls, as the shooting occurs, the woman is in her house and she said, they're shooting down my street.
Okay.
Yes.
So why isn't that enough?
Because this was the further evidence of that. So that's why we're playing the two 911 calls, because the March 12th call, right, there shows that she called, the first caller never went outside. All she says is there's shots fired. On March 13th, when that witness goes outside, she sees that her car has been riddled by bullets. Now there's additional evidence that Ms. Zachary would bring in that her daughter heard the gunshots the night before, but we're not bringing that in. So what we're trying to do is tie in the first call from March 12th and then the call from March 13th. There's more evidence, but we're trying to, as best, get in what is relevant to establish that there was a shooting. Again, all of these shootings are in response to what happens in February with Wyatt and Lucci getting stabbed.
Is it riddled with bullets?
When you say, excuse me, maybe I shouldn't say riddled with bullets, but there are bullet holes in her vehicle.
How many?
I believe there's one to her vehicle. Your
Okay.
Honor.
Y'all can know. Just no. We have got to figure out some things that we can do without in this case, and this is one of them.
You fucked up big time. You're incapable of running this shit. Sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
So long story short, basically what happened was there was a 911 call that went out, and essentially there was a shooting that happened. If we remember the shooting that happened at the house, basically a neighbor came out and was like, hey, my car's been shot. All right. But all you're proving is that there was a shooting. So we don't need 1,000 people to say the same thing. We already had a police report. We already have all of this stuff. You don't need to bring it all in. And then Miss Love couldn't accept that because the judge like, Miss Love. But then Miss Love kind of had her way just a tiny bit, but not really. I'll let y'all be the judge. Check this out.
Whomever this person is, the boyfriend or husband, is going to come say, here are the comings and goings that I noticed over the course of the last few months, including the night of this shooting. Here's who I saw, or here's what cars or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
This is what we anticipate from that particular witness. The female, the young woman that Ms. Hilton mentioned earlier, she, in addition to showing us, or in addition to having that bullet hole in her car, she has met with us and shown us the bullet holes in her house. We don't have those photographs. I'm just telling the court what.
Was she going to testify also?
We took her name off the list.
Okay. Right.
In an effort for brevity's sake, but I'm just letting the court know that these people who live next door to that location had more to talk about than just a bullet.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fine.
Well, Your Honor, in response to that, and I'm going off of memory, the recorded statement that is really the only record we have of what Mr. Whetstone would be adding.
What's the name of this guy?
I believe I'm being accurate with Mr. Whetstone, but
Wesley?
Whetstone?
Whetstone, okay.
And the issue I have is, and just to be clear, Mr. Whetstone, as I understand it, is not testifying, oh, I saw a Audi with this tag number. I know, I'm just using Shannon as an example. I know Shannon, and I see him going in there. Mm-hmm. The interview he gave to the police, it was much more like, man, there's all sorts of stuff going on at that house, and it's ruining our neighborhood. Type generalized speak. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate to just paint in a broad brush with testimony. And so I disagree with the state when they assert that this gentleman would be adding a lot more about what's going on with the house. It was just kind of a complaint that we all have with different people in our neighborhoods complaining about the residents of a certain house in the neighborhood.
All right.
Your Honor, it's not that broad, and we did provide contact information. It's not that general as it's placed for the court. We've provided contact information for anyone to speak to this person. So it's more detailed than what he provided.
Okay, so is it going to be something that tends to establish that the comings and goings were by a particular gang or group of people?
A particular group of people, and again, the nature, the type of traffic, if you will,
Meaning,
at the house.
meaning what?
He will not be saying, "Oh, there's drug dealing going on at the house," but just the frequency of different visitors to the house, the vehicles he observed at the house.
And the vehicles are going to be tied to
What YSL members? One in particular belongs to Mr. Williams, for instance. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Well, if he is going to be able to testify to seeing particular vehicles with, you know, whatever frequency he's going to testify to, and there's something that ties those vehicles to these defendants or other YSL members, then that seems relevant.
So Miss Love got her motions shut down in the beginning, and I think she probably took that as that was like a bad girl, bad girl, bad girl, bad girl. So, sorry, I was watching Gold Dust earlier. Ah! So basically, what ends up happening then is Miss Love says, let's roll the dice one more time. And even the judge had to pull out her card and say, hey, bruh, you ain't making no damn sense.
Where he is displaying prominently that center tattoo on his person of YSL, obviously, along with all the others, and making that post. The fact of the posing on social media with the gang name in the middle and slime for life on his arm, and asserting publicly chasing that money, but his past chasing him, we would argue reflects at least part of what we are alleging that the gang has done or does in furtherance of the enterprise itself, obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity, him chasing that money, but his past chasing me, we would argue suggests that he has done things that were not legal. And this is an argument. This is one, obviously, that could be made at the end. The jury could infer from what they are seeing many things, but particularly we posted or we named this as an overact, number 126.
Okay, and that was posing for the photo that he put on his account, displaying gang tattoos, not the post, not the language. What you put in the indictment is
the description of it. Yeah, the description of what happened. He posed.
Did post for a photo released on someone's Instagram account displaying gang tattoos with YSL on his chest and slime for life on his right arm, an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy.
Right. And the language, the language further shows how he is furthering the conspiracy.
How is that furthering the conspiracy?
Chasing that money, but his past chasing him suggests that he not only does things or has done things that perhaps in chasing that money, they're not legal. He is continuing to chase that money in ways that are not legal.
What suggests that he is doing anything illegal by chasing that money?
Your Honor.
Isn't that what pretty much all of us who aren't independently wealthy have to do every day of our lives?
Your Honor, I'm not saying that it is with certainty that this is what he is saying. What I'm saying is that it is evidence that tends to, or that has a tendency to make a portion of our assertions or our allegations in the indictment true to the extent that it is relevant that he made or said that, made that statement on that posting. He is representing YSL. He is.
I mean, obviously, you know, it's all over his body, but how is the post, the language representing YSL?
The language, it's as if he said, I stay ready, or...
it really doesn't seem to say that.
I didn't say
you can put that post in the picture without the language.
Hey, Adrian, so today I really didn't feel like working, and then I got bills and all that stuff, and so literally today, when I got up and my car started, it felt like a race because I was getting ready to chase the money. Slatty. Now I'm officially a YSL member. That shit was so dumb that even the judge had to say some slick shit. She probably should have been like, yeah, I heard it on the Kool Moe Dee song before. I heard LL Cool J say it before. Or Tupac or Snoop Dogg. Or Too Short. What's my favorite word? So, you know, it just gets to a point where I think the judge was so believing. I don't want to say super pro-state, but she was pro-state until today for now. Because, bruh, it begins to turn into an ass-whooping fest out there. Max Sharp went Super Saiyan again and still even popped out and had to show people one time for the one time. But today was the day of Max Sharp.
The objection.
Your Honor, there are so many videos that are have come into evidence and are coming into evidence of Mr. Williams holding his hands.
Cumulative.
Yes. And then it's cumulative on
the
top of
video.
cumulative. Yes.
Yes. Sustained. You can
This is
see
the
it
one where he
just as
says murder
easily.
gang bitch. This is different.
This is different. He says murder gang bitch, and he's also with Obama, another associate. We don't have who's
Okay, so the screen grab is excluded as cumulative.
But we didn't introduce the first 15
Yes.
seconds.
Oh, you thought that was the only one? Nah. It gets even funnier because basically, bro, if you already had about 3, 4, you don't need 100. How many pictures you gonna take of that damn cake before you realize all you need is about 5 to prove that it's a damn cake?
The entirety of the call. I'm not sure what specifically defense objection is to this portion.
Now, y'all see how arrogant he was when he made that comment? Essentially what happened was there was a phone call between Khalif Adams and somebody else that they don't even know. Or John Tavius, whatever the hell cuz name is, or whatever. Not even a YSL member. He literally out his mouth after the phone call said, and y'all heard in the previous clip, I don't even know what they're objecting for. Well, hold on.
So, Jonquavius Hood is someone that I'm not familiar with that name from this case. I have heard the name before, but not involving this case, not in this discovery. So, again, and Khalif Adams can, claim that he's running things in prison. I would love to ask him some questions about that because that's a pretty easy claim to make. I don't anticipate that he's going to be testifying, so I won't be able to ask those questions. But I don't understand to the extent that we're going beyond the Miles Farley situation, what Demekion Garlington calling Mr. Adams, who's claiming to run the prison that he's at, to get a tablet for Jonquavius Hood, has anything to do with any of this.
Okay, how are you establishing Hood being relevant to this?
So, Your Honor, it's twofold. For one, Mr. Hood's, again, this is from listening with and talking through what is being said with the APD gang detectives. So, with the investigators on this case in terms of what's being said, who are these individuals? And so, Mr. Hood is affiliated with 30 Deep, which was what Demekion Garlington used to be. Okay. And he's speaking with Khalif Adams, who again was an indicted co-conspirator on this case. And so not only is there some level of, in the case law, in terms of cohesiveness, someone on the outside with one call speaking to a fellow co-conspirator on the same indictment in prison to help, whether you say that he's doing this for his friend, Mr. Hood, or an allied gang member, that conversation they're having.
All right, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, I understand it, but given that this is not even an alleged YSL member, but some affiliated gang, I'm going to exclude that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'm going to play a couple of clips real quick that kind of like serve as the mood of the court almost, because you even had these fools basically say that Young Thug ain't getting nobody no money, Young Thug ain't even like that and all this shit, effectively saying that, bruh, all Young Thug was a hang-around. He wasn't a part of any of this shit.
Like, that shit crazy, bro, for a nigga be having that money like that and just be really stingy and shit, like, spend that shit, don't Don't matter if you feel like you're gonna take a law. You can't take a law when you got money like you, nigga. You rich young nigga in the city. Yeah. Shit be crazy. That shit be get with it. I ain't gonna like that shit get with it. This is my opinion. I be really thinking South be setting nigga ass up though, really, bro.
Bro.
Hey, yeah.
Now the black Miami here, boy.
Man, I'm trying. Hey, listen, man, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I be thinking that shit be a setup, bro. Like, Shawty get so comfortable with a nigga ass. He just be want to, man, I can't explain because I really don't know, but Shawty be having nigga in them motherfuckers. You know, nigga be in the jail cell thinking all tight, like thinking outside the box, bro. Like, that shit be crazy, bro. Hell yeah, bro. Like, man, that shit crazy, bro. Knowing these folks mama crying and you ain't making these nigga mamas and dad cry, like, man, come on, bro. Like, that shit be wrong, bro. That shit be wrong. That's why I be telling, that's why I be.
Who's Yayo?
So, Your Honor, the state believes that Yayo is YSL member Eric Moore.
On the same page on this one? Okay. Okay, then the next one is 1380, reference 1384, page 1394. Dorsey, who is at this point an unindicted co-conspirator, right?
We dismissed against Mr. Dorsey.
Right.
Right. So he's right.
But you would, are you still maintaining he's
definitely a
co-conspirator?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And someone on a call, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And this particular portions of this call, so yes, they are Mr. Dorsey, given that we've dismissed his charges after his recent trial, portions of this call are captured in the indictment as, I think, count 56, and it's also alleged as an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy itself, count 1.
Yo, how do you bring up his statements, but you dismissed all the charges against him, which would mean, I guess, I guess it. I thought, you know what, bro? All right.
I don't know. He working shit out here though. I ain't gonna lie about that. Huh? Yeah, he out in the business, bro.
Alright, so you just need to stop the way, bro. Continue doing what you doing, bro. I already know you.
I'm handling the business too.
I already know how you coming, shot. I know, but that shit got down. What thug got going on, bro?
No, he don't tell that though. Oh. Like, come on, what? You be ready about everything? Huh?
What thug got going on?
Shit scary around him in LA.
What the hell, Del Greg? Del Greg ain't scary now. Del Greg the real one.
He down here. Yeah,
Del Greg and Lum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that shit getting serious here.
Nicole?
Fools basically say that Young Thug ain't getting nobody no money. Young Thug ain't even like that and all this shit. Effectively saying that, bruh, all Young Thug was a hang around. He wasn't a part of any of this shit.
Big, yo. I hope these. Yeah. Where you at, the web? Yeah. I don't know about that. I need no powder clip. That nigga took just pulled out. He got one. He don't want. I don't got no powder. I don't know nobody else got no powder. I got 2 extra mags for him. I'm gonna tell him when he could pull back out. He just pulled out. All right.
So, Your Honor, the state believes that this other called party is a rock crew YSL member that goes by the name Jimmy Reeves. And so he says, are you up at the web, which is the same location we had mentioned a couple calls before. I got 2 extra mags for him. I believe he's talking about magazines with bullets in them. And those 27-second clips. And then he mentions Tunk, who I believe he's talking about Mr. Sledge. But it's that brief. This would be one where we would ask him some questions about I believe it's two YSL members talking about getting extra magazines to bring to the web, a location that they hang out or frequent and sell narcotics. But I also see this in the category of questions we would ask Mr. Sumlin on the stand.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that would just come in otherwise. I don't think that saying, hey, I think I've got 2 extra mags establishes a conspiracy or that these 2 are co-conspirators.
I understand, Your Honor. I thought he said, and I think we were asking questions on this. I thought he said, I got 2 extra mags for him, as in for another YSL member. But nonetheless, this is something that
regardless, there can be people that provide ammunition to people who aren't co-conspirators. I mean, I don't think this one meets the requirements.
Understood, Your Honor.
So I'm gonna play some clips at the end too, some hot mic moments that we didn't cut, yeah, and then also what I told y'all freaking yesterday about the damn mics. I mean, not the mics, but the phones. Them phones are setups when you have them in the penitentiary because they had a whole entire phone tapped while it was in the pen. So it was getting other people because cats thought that they were slick. But either way it go. Why is this the best day ever, though, Nash? You said that in the beginning. You even had a nice voice. You even sounded like SpongeBob, man. That's crazy how you do that. I know, man. I'm just multi-talented. But for real. So the reason why that conclusion got drawn is because they changed Miss Whitaker. The Honorable Paige Reese Whitaker. That's why. Because from now on, she'll be looking through a whole bunch of BS. Before she couldn't see it, she was blinded by the light. Now, that's not a thing anymore. So what Miss Whitaker absolutely did was paid a lot more attention. Wasn't really, you know, hip and all that. That's why I put that when she said yayo. So it's not like she was fronting trying to sound like, you know, she had a little bit hood in her. Nah, not at all. But one thing that she did effectively do was see through the BS. And that's why, if you remember, right, when you change a person's mindset, you change them. When y'all remember watching the Avengers, right, the Endgame and all that stuff and all that, y'all know the reason why Thanos ultimately lost was because they changed his mindset. The Thanos in Infinity Wars was calm, collective, calculated, and all this stuff. The Thanos at Endgame was an angry, pissed off person, so he lost his focus. That's why you couldn't tell when he put the Infinity Gauntlet on there. He didn't even have the damn stones. So when you change a person's mindset, ultimately you change them. I think they were able to effectively, and I mean effectively, change how Judge Whitaker sees this whole entire case. She was swatting shit down left and right. I didn't even put all the things that she denied down there. Now, what I will tell y'all is today we'll be singing her praise. In about a week or two, everybody will be back on her ass. But I just want y'all to understand something. Weinstein is right. Please, if you watch this channel, do not write the damn judge. She will turn off the TVs in this mug. Please stop writing all of these damn bar complaints and all that stuff. Do it after the trial. Y'all had to tailor and temper y'all emotions for afterwards, because if you do not do what you are supposed to do, which means hold back your emotions, don't do all of this BS that y'all think y'all supposed to be doing, don't do any of that crap, then ultimately at the end, then you can win. It is not about now. It is about the long road. I predict that we still have about 6 to 7 months left of this YSL trial, but she was able to get rid of 3 freaking witnesses today. So please do not believe for 10 seconds that what the judge is doing basically is not working and it's not effective, because ultimately she was supposed to be pro-state because the state has the burden of proof. So you had to allow the state the ability to prove it. It's like, hey, I'm going to do this magic trick and I'm going to show you how the magic trick was done. So it might take a little bit longer. So those are the things that we had to take in effect and in order when we're listening to these things, because if we don't, then we're just as lost. Now, some of y'all can't temper your bias, and I will admit at times I do have a bias towards and stuff like that because of what I've read, what I've seen, what I've figured out and all this crap. So when certain people accuse me of it, I understand. But some of y'all had to make sure that you check your own bias at the door. Miss Love ass sat up there and used Atkins as the pinata today. That man was standing up there like he was a freaking statue. And literally, The best thing he could have did was exactly what he did. And show no emotion towards the judge. Did not get argumentative or dichotomous, whichever word you choose to use. Did not do any of that stuff. And ultimately, that's what they needed in the court today, because I think Miss Love knew she pissed off the judge. And basically, when she came in, I don't know if she called an audible, if she called an audible or not, but I know for a fact Buddy was in there pissed, and I guess he's a little hot-headed. I ain't gonna hold you, Miss Love. You might have to fire him. But sure to keep your people aware, subscribe to the bell, stay notified. And we 5K away for that $1,000 giveaway. Make sure you are subscribed today, because the way the analytics is looking, we're going to be able to get that $1,000 away by Black Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. But we might even do it before then. We got all October. I'm tripping. Yeah, we might get this done way before whatever the hell that is. Black Friday. So subscribe today, man, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Your Honor, it's the call I was thinking of. He's speaking with Khalif Adams, who's in prison, speaking on a contraband phone.
Okay.
And the state's going to play this call
That's what the state wants in for whatever reason. I don't know how anybody would find this to be an act in furtherance of gang activity, but
yeah. Well, that's why
they could argue that, I guess.
That's why I'm concerned with this. I agree with you. I don't doing individual legal activity on their phone. So,
well, I mean, it obviously is going to be for the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that any of this drug dealing was in furtherance of the gang, but that they can argue it. Whether they convince the jury of that or not, I don't know. Their evidence is not particularly strong that I've seen so far on this. But I'm not the decision maker.
First column is the reference number, and the second column
I need
is
a
the page
computer. I need to not freak out because I'm going to freeze the top.